that level. And there is an appetite to work with the city, provided that law enforcement is on board. What I understand is that there's also foreign nationals who would like to go back home. And we will be reaching out to the IOM as well as other external stakeholders to see how we can assist those people who want to return home. And those who are staying, of course, the Home Affairs needs to process them accordingly, because we want people to be in the country legally. And we want to see social cohesion between locals and migrants, where the migrants are really here to help us develop, because migration for development is not a negative thing. But we are against criminality, but we also don't want to see locals and foreigners fighting all the time. So we touched on quite a lot of issues. There's quite a bit of work that's going to happen. We're busy with our IDP sessions. We had the second one today. We will be having the Region A IDP session on the 6th of May, on the 4th, I believe, and we will be engaging further with the residents from this area on what type of development they would like to see in the area. So quite a lot of work which will be coordinated through the office of the RD to make sure we've got all the relevant stakeholders on board to address all the different issues I spoke to today.
Thank you, Ian. We'll take questions one by one, and then one more.
Okay, Smangoba Mpho from ANC. My question, Mayor, is what sort of intervention are you bringing here as a city? Of course, the big concern right now is the issue of crime, and we've seen the ministers coming here, making promises. Well, what intervention are you bringing as a city when it comes to dealing with the issues here of the community? And secondly, why is it taking so long for the mayor to come? Surely the mayor should have come earlier. This is an issue that's been bubbling for many days. So why is it taking so long for the mayor to come?
So, okay, let me start with the second question. As I said, as soon as we heard MMC Tembe was on the ground immediately. In fact, I had to release him from, as you know, we're busy with the IDP meetings. Our IDP meetings happen once a year, where we go into communities. The plan is already out. We cannot change the plan. So, an MMC is a delegate of the mayor. If I deploy an MMC into an area, by virtue of that deployment, I'm there. But I also wanted to be here as a follow-up, as much as I got feedback from the MMC. In terms of interventions, when you tackle crime, you deal with crime, but you also deal with the causes of crime. It's no use deploying police into an area if there's socioeconomic issues that you're not addressing, or structural issues. And that's why I spoke about issues of housing, the need to de-densify the area. We've been very busy. I don't know if you're aware of Riverside. It's part of Diepsloot, actually. We're decanting people from Diepsloot into that area. Been very busy there with the MMC for housing. We're busy with rental stock, Joshko rental stock. We've been issuing title deeds as well. But as I said, I've just discovered that as much as we think we're decanting, some people are remaining in those houses. So that's something that needs to be tackled. So that's homework for us as the city, to make sure when we move you into a housing unit, we need to demolish the shack that we're moving you out of. That is the only way we're going to de-densify the area. We need to look at the built environment, make sure that roads are surfaced and that police can do their work properly. If a police vehicle cannot make a U-turn at a place, it's dangerous and it's not enabling for crime prevention and crime fighting. So as the city, we need to listen to the police and listen to how we can support them to do their work. There's issues of street lighting that have been brought up. We need to make sure there's Apollos in the area. This is largely an Eskom supply area. The RD assures me the relationship with Eskom is quite good. But we need to go back and say, what can we do about the street lights together with city power? Grass cutting is a function as well of the city. We are centralizing grass cutting as the city within city parks and zoo. We need to prioritize this area for grass cutting. Those small investments will do a lot in reducing crime in the area, over and above the fact that the JMPD is also on the ground. MMC Tembe has also deployed and joined with the SAPS. What we've been doing in the current multi-party administration is that we're working in a more integrated fashion with the SAPS, because we realize the SAPS is not enough on their own, JMPD is not enough on their own. Yesterday we were busy with the theft and vandalism of infrastructure as an example, and SAPS is already on board. We're going to be meeting in a few days to strategize together on how we're going to deal with that.
Just for your benefit, RD is the regional director, is a representative of the city in various regions across the city.
Thanks, Marina.
All right, I'm Patricia Fasafi from the SABC. The families, the South African families who've lost their loved ones, whose loved ones were murdered in the past weeks and so, is your office planning to perhaps give them any sort of support, relief? In particular, if we think about how difficult it is. I mean, we had a funeral of a young man who was, of course, laid to rest today. Are you planning to reach out to those families to see how you can support them?
Well, the reason I've got the MMC for Social Development here as well is because of precisely that there would have been other needs outside of just what we see on television, and through an assessment through the RD's office, we'll get to see what exactly the city needs to do. So whatever social interventions are required, those will be provided by the city. But of course, there's also the migration issue. The Joburg Migration Advisory Panel has reached out to my office as well. They would like to help drive some interventions in the area to foster social cohesion and peace and kind of mediate. And we will be doing that. The MMC will be driving those kinds of interventions in the area. But yes, definitely those families will also be reached out, and we'll see how we can assist as the city.
What's your immediate plan? Of course, many of the interventions that you have mentioned could be long-term, could take weeks, months before we actually see them come into action. What is your immediate priority to make sure that this community is given what they're calling for?
Well, immediately we've deployed the JMPD to be part of the broader crime prevention and crime fighting strategy. That has already happened. MMC Dembe is already on the ground. We are busy now with the planning cycle. I'm from an IDP meeting in Soweto today, so that is immediate again. That's why I asked, when are we coming to this area? Because a lot of the issues that were mentioned need to be factored into that IDP. So we will be finalizing our plans in May, and then we will be able to secure the budget to start rolling out some of those plans. Things like grass cutting, street lighting are really low-hanging fruits. So those can be done fairly quickly. The longer-term issues are more issues of housing and so forth. But as you know, we do have a presence in the area with the housing department, and that work will continue. But as I said, as we de-densify, we have to demolish the shacks so that we really decant the area.
Thank you very much, colleagues. One last one.
Robert Shivamu from Amnesty International. You talk about grass cutting, you talk about a lot of things in terms of investment for the community. But some of the things that are driving what we have seen here in terms of violence in the past few days, it's socio-economic issues. What is the plan from the city in terms of improving the living conditions in Diepsloot?
Okay, so I've already said that we've invested in an opportunity center in the area. There is a social development, skills development center. There's various private sector partners in that space giving opportunities to young people. I've asked the regional director if all those facilities are still functional, and yes, they are functional and they are being utilized. The question is, do all the young people in the area know about these offerings? And I've also been told that there are other private sector partners. We're actually doing a lot in the area. Stain City, just next door, has created a lot of employment to the people of Diepsloot. Century, through the mall development, has done a lot in this area. But clearly there are still gaps, and those need to be mapped. We need to make sure that everybody is aware of what opportunities are there. As the city, it's not our job to create jobs. It's our job to create an enabling environment for businesses to thrive, grow the economy, and create jobs. But it's also our job to inform our communities of what opportunities are out there and to link them to those opportunities. And that work will continue happening through the regional director.
Do you think previous governments have failed the people of Diepsloot?
Well, I don't like to dwell on the past. We are here now. I'm the executive mayor now. I will take responsibility, and I will make sure that the people of Diepsloot are taken care of.
Thank you. And one last
Just
question.
finally, Mayor, yesterday you went about to some of the substations that have been vandalized. What were your findings there? How bad is the situation? And do you think that there is any intervention? I know you've written also to the president as well as other national structures. What sort of response have you gotten so far?
Well, I've not had any formal response yet, but there have been engagements both with the presidency and with the SAPs. In fact, the brigadier has just informed me that they are aware and that there is a planned meeting with my office in a few days to look at a concerted effort to start fighting this crime. Yesterday, I was quite shocked and concerned because the problem is a lot bigger than what I realized. It is huge. This is definitely a criminal syndicate, very organized, very well resourced, and if we don't nip this in the bud soon, it's really going to plunge the city into an economic crisis, and we can't allow that to happen. So yes, a lot will be happening in the next few days to also turn that situation around.
And you said it's sabotage?
Definitely, it does look like sabotage, but this is definitely a criminal syndicate that also wants to make money. I mean, we were looking at even aluminium cables. When we started to move away from copper to aluminium, we thought that we actually taking away the need to vandalize. But in fact, what we realized is that around the aluminium cables is the copper casing. So they also want that casing. There's so much that we need to do. As you know, we'll be hosting the Energy Indaba on the 4th and the 5th of May. And at the Indaba, we're hoping that innovators will come up with innovative ways of providing electricity without necessarily creating a market for these criminal syndicates to plunge our communities into darkness.
Thank you very much, colleagues. We appreciate your time and taking the messages of Johannesburg into residents' homes. Thank you.